Hi, I'm Sydney with Occupational Therapy. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I am just here to kind of see where you're at, talk about discharge recommendations. I know that we are planning on discharging home, and as my role as an occupational therapist, I kind of come in, see what you need to make sure you're safely discharging home, and make sure you're doing what you need to do to stay as independent as possible. Do you have any questions before we start talking about it?
I'm just a little bit nervous.
Okay, and what are you nervous about?
Going home, because I have kids at home. And
Yeah.
I feel like I'm still relying a lot on you guys here.
Okay, yeah, well, I don't think that's out of the norm. I think that's pretty normal to feel anxious going home. It's kind of a new thing, a new environment with new deficits. So do you have anything in particular that's making you more nervous with the kids?
Just managing their problems, and I don't want to rely on my sisters here.
As much, yeah.
Yeah. And I've been having kind of some concerns lately about chest pain.
Okay, well, that's a good place to start. So I think with going home, it's going to be nice that you're going to be with your sisters. I know that it's a tough time, but this is kind of the time to, rely on them when you need to while you're still kind of recuperating, building your strength back up. I know that for the recommendations, they're wanting you to go to outpatient therapy. So I know that once you get home, you're going to get, acclimated, but going to those services are going to help you get stronger, maybe feel more comfortable, and won't have to rely on your sisters as often.
How many times will I go to outpatient?
I think they're suggesting 2 times a week for 6 weeks, and then probably going to reevaluate after that to see what you need.
Okay.
You're having chest pain?
Kind of.
I didn't know about that.
Why didn't you tell us?
I was just so nervous. I don't know if it's actual chest pains or I'm just scared.
I'm kind of nervous about going back home too.
See, I told you guys.
Are there other things that you're not telling us? Like, you're just telling us this now.
I'm just not sleeping at all. 2 to 3 hours a night.
Okay, so you're not sleeping. Do you think that's infecting your chest pain?
That could be something, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay. So with your sisters, do you guys have open communications with if you're feeling anxious? Are you telling them, or are you just kind of more bottling it up?
I don't know. I feel like I've just put them through a lot, so it just seems like another thing.
Yeah. Well, I think this is going to be the time where if you are feeling anxious, if you don't talk about it with your sisters, even if you feel like it's something small, you don't want to bother them, this is the time for you guys to come together, because it's going to take all 3 of you guys to get through this and to get you stronger and where you want to be. So I think if you guys kind of come together, talk about ways to, if you're getting upset or if something's making you anxious, having a good open communication system so you're not bottling it up.
I could do that.
Me too.
Me too.
This is good, yes.
Do we do feedback now?
We could go through those questions.
Yeah. I'll pull them up.
Okay.
End scene.
Do we keep the video going?
Yeah, I think so.
The first one is, how did the occupational therapist attend to the patient's emotional state and feelings? I thought you did a really good job with that.
Thanks, I was so nervous.
I couldn't tell at all.
I think you did a really good job with active listening. So when Emma said something, you didn't just respond with the next question, or you addressed each thing that she mentioned, which I think is really important.
I also liked whenever I said something, you kind of repeated the main point of it,
Mm-hmm.
which reassured to the patient that you were actually taking in what I was saying.
Yeah. I feel like that's even important too with making sure cognitively they are understanding what they're saying, because you're repeating it back.
Mm-hmm.
Because maybe she meant something else, but you repeating it back was just a way
I
to.
didn't even think of that. That's so genius. Yeah.
You did a really good job with that. I think it was good too. A lot of times when you're working with someone, you are so used to talking to just them, but you looked at Becca and I too.
I noticed that too,
Yeah.
especially when I said I was anxious about them having more work. You were including all 3 of us in the conversation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that was good.
I think that one thing I want to critique myself on is when I was talking to you about like what you were anxious about, like I feel like I should have asked the sisters too if like they had any hesitation, so like that could have been brought up and maybe like put at bay like right then and there, so like then everyone felt
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Because like we're the ones who are taking her home, so if we were to say to you like we can't do it anymore, that changes everything, and that changes the whole discharge plan because she's not going to have any support. So I think that's good that you brought that up.
The second question is, did the occupational therapist identify the problem or what the problem was and provided ways to address the problem? I think you kind of asked me what my issues with going home were, and I said anxiety, and you did a good job of including both the sisters, and also just kind of providing me with enough like confidence in myself.
Yeah, you suggested like we keep open communication, which is like one of the ways to make her less anxious, which I think was good. And you drew the conclusion between her lack of sleep and her anxiety and chest pain.
I didn't know what to say about the chase with this. Like,
no, and that probably was from anxiety.
That's what I was thinking all the time too when I was reading it.
Unless it was
actually
endurance
a
or something.
serious problem. Next question is, did the OT use reflective and clarifying responses during active listening? Which we kind of touched on that before. You like would repeat what I was asking. I thought you did a really good job with that. Did the OT utilize I statements when appropriate?
I don't know if you
I don't really know if I did use I
I don't think
statements.
you had to really.
Which like is okay.
I think you definitely avoided being like, you feel this way, or like you didn't do the opposite.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to avoid.
You did at one point say like it's normal. You said like something about it's normal to be anxious about returning home, or you have a new routine or something like that. I remember you said at the beginning, which I think is good because you don't want your patient to feel like they're in like nobody's ever gone through what they've gone through before.
Yeah.
You know, like you want them to feel validated.
Definitely. Did the OT use open-ended questions and statements to encourage the patient to talk and express more to assist in understanding of the patient's situation from their perspective? I think yes. You always were digging more, like, what is it that you're concerned about? Why are you concerned about it? It wasn't like ever like yes or no. Like you weren't struggling to get information.
Oh, guys, I'm a talker.
I would also suggest like, which I have to be better at too, is like even letting there be like a little awkward pause before you say the next thing, because sometimes people aren't done talking, which is like hard to think about in the moment. But like if she were to answer and you pause for a couple seconds even before you ask the next question, she may jump in and say something else.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
That's something I always have to
Yeah, that's something like I feel like you learn too in like clinical practice when you're working with real
Yeah, and
people.
also, and that makes me think too, like, if I'm talking to someone that does have cognitive deficits, they might have a harder time or, like, slower process speed too. So I think I need to give them that chance too.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was there therapeutic silence or sympathy utilized?
Yeah. I think, like, at the end, like, I mean, everyone kind of paused, but that was an opportunity for the patient to say anything else that they wanted to, which is good.
And you definitely showed like the sympathy with like you stayed calm like the entire time. You did a really
Thanks.
good job keeping composed, but still being there and being sympathetic to what she was going through and stuff.
Definitely. And also, I didn't cry or anything, but I do remember from a previous fieldwork experience, like a patient was really discouraged because she wasn't really making progress, and my my OT kind of knew she didn't really want the OT to say anything back. She just wanted someone to listen to her, so she like literally just grabbed her by the hand and like let the patient cry, which I think is like something that like we don't use often, obviously, but it's something to definitely keep in mind that sometimes like they just want someone to talk to, and you should like give them that minute to recover and then build off of that.
Yeah.
Was judging defensive or blaming statements utilized? No, I don't think they were, so we don't really have to correct that. And then how could the OT improve communication next time? We kind of already brought up the points. You ended up bringing up your own point.
I gotta correct myself too.
Yeah, sometimes we're our best critics.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like kind of what we all mentioned, like you did really good. And you remained really calm.
Thanks.
And just keep doing that because, you know, like the more comfortable you, like this was not an easy conversation for the patient to have. And so like if you're rushing the patient or you're not calm, like you're not going to get the best outcome from that. So I would just say, you know, check yourself before you can, which you did.
Yeah.
But just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I thought you did a really good job of tying your OT definition into the situation too, because obviously we weren't doing therapy today.
Yeah.
So like you saying we're working on ADLs, like wouldn't have been applicable at all. So I think it was really good that you tied in that OTs can have like such a important role in the discharge process and everything.
Cool.
Is that it?
Is that the last question?
Yes. On the list at least.
That's all I have.
That's all I have.
You
Nice
really
job.
Thanks.
Sometimes I get